Now, the Christine Holgate affair is still ticking along, just like a Cartier watch, I suppose. Holgate has actually done something she should have done right at the start of this affair. She's admitted her error in spending money that effectively belongs to taxpayers on lavish gifts.
I can understand for many people it was a bad look. Perhaps next time I won't buy someone a Cartier watch. But let me tell you something, I never want to stop rewarding and recognising brilliance in my people.
And while her main criticism rightly targets the Australia Post chairman, Holgate is still demanding something from the Prime Minister.
You know, everybody makes mistakes sometimes. And if he was to call me and apologise, I would welcome that apology. That's all I want.
Well, she didn't exactly get what she wanted, but pretty close, with Scott Morrison making something of a concession himself today.
It was a willing day in the Parliament. The language in the Parliament was very strong. It was not my intention to cause distress to Christine Holgate, and I regret any distress that strong language may have caused to her, indeed did cause to her. That was not my intention.
You would have thought that was a reasonable attempt to de-escalate this controversy. After all, it was Labor, remember, who first exposed the Cartier scandal and called for Holgate's head. And now Labor's trying to make hay from this fallout, even pushing the desperate line that this is all about gender. Really? When they called for her dumping first, the Prime Minister was not about to endorse this gender war theory.
This issue wasn't about gender. This was about taxpayer organisations handing out Cartier watches to well-paid executives. This has nothing to do with gender. This has to do with the performance of people who are responsible for running taxpayer organisations.
Interestingly, while this was playing out, the former Defence Minister, now Social Services Minister, Linda Reynolds, returned to work after 2 months of sick leave after that controversy of Brittany Higgins' Parliament House rape allegations. Minister Reynolds spoke to Liam Bartlett on Perth's 6PR.
I'm back, and most importantly, it's wonderful to be back representing the great state of Western Australia.
That's great. Good to have you back. Now, what did you make of those reports that Brittany Higgins, your former staffer, has signed a $250,000 deal to write a memoir?
Well, Liam, a lot has been said, as you know, a lot has been said about this issue over the last couple of months. Two things. First of all, the AFP are investigating her allegations, and I'm assisting the AFP with their investigation. So, as you would appreciate, I can't discuss these matters directly.
Now, Reynolds went on to say that she's keen to see a change of culture at Parliament House. But while she's keen on that and eager to help out in any way, she also won't accept that the Holgate episode is part of the gender debate.
It was never about her personally, but anybody who spends taxpayers' money is accountable for how that is used. And so that has always been the issue.
So there you go. I can only reiterate what I said last night. Holgate made a mistake with the luxury watches, but it was not a sackable offence and she was poorly treated. But let's not pretend this is about gender or toxic culture in politics. The culture that needs to be fixed here is one that is cavalier with money that belongs to taxpayers. By the way, you can hear directly from Christine Holgate in the next hour when she joins Peter Credlin. But for now, let's catch up with Liberal Tasmanian Senator Claire Chandler, who joins us live from Hobart. Thanks for joining us, Claire. Do you believe this is the end of the Christine Holgate affair, or should the chairman of Australia Post lose his position?
Well, I'll make a couple of points here, Chris. And the first and the most important, and you highlighted it in what you just said now, is that the vast majority of Australians didn't accept that it was appropriate that government business executives should receive very expensive Cartier watches for the work that they undertook. And as you reflected in the clip that was played from Ms Holgate earlier, she has recognised that this was out of step with community expectations and what Australians expect to be happening at a government business enterprise. And I think fundamentally what should have happened at the time that this evidence came to light at Senate estimates back in October is that the leadership of Australia Post, including the board, should have made a clear statement that recognised that this gift was out of line with community expectations and determined that it would never occur again. So I think that's the missing piece of the puzzle here, and the board should take some responsibility for that.
Yeah, certainly they should, and so should Christine Holgate, because under questioning at the time, she sort of pushed back and said this has got nothing to do with taxpayers' money, we're a commercial operation. And so she needed to admit some error there as well. But obviously, Scott Morrison has admitted today that he overreacted in his rhetoric. This really led to her losing her job. It became untenable when he spoke so strongly in the Parliament. Is it too late to rectify that? She obviously can't be reinstated.
Well, the thing we have to remember here, Chris, is that this evidence came to light at Senate estimates under questioning from a Labor senator. It was Anthony Albanese, following that questioning and that evidence being revealed, who said that Christine Holgate should resign. So the PM was obviously then asked a question about it at question time that day back in October, and he gave a response, and he rightfully identified that the gifting of these watches to these executives wasn't in line with community expectations.
Was Christine Holgate treated differently or more venomously because she was a woman?
Like I said, I think there was some genuine criticism levelled at Ms Holgate because these watches, the purchasing of these watches and the gifting of them wasn't in line with what Australians expected Australia Post. It doesn't pass the pub test. But I would like to think that there would be no corporate board, no media outlet in this country that should be treating people differently or criticising people on the basis of their gender. They should be criticising them on the record of their performance. But I also note that Ms Holgate has said that some of the most distressing things that she saw during this time was the media reports around what had happened, and that she found some of those comments sexist and that they went a bit too far. And you only have to look at what is happening to some of my female colleagues, some of the comments that they have received on social media and through the media levelled against them, to know that we do seem to have a bit of a problem with this country in how we are criticising public figures for the job that they're doing. And that criticism should never be on the basis of gender. It should be on the basis of their record and their performance.
Yep, I agree with that. But in the end, too, when they make a mistake, that they need to admit it quickly and clarify it. And I think that's where Christine Holgate and particularly the board have got questions yet to answer. The board has really neither defended her or apologised for the way it was handled. Just on these gender wars, obviously this is happening in a hyper-partisan environment. The gender issues are seen as a weak point of the government, and all of their enemies from the Labor Party and more broadly are lining up. Do you support gender quotas in the Liberal Party as a way to ensuring broader representation of women?
Look, I don't support gender quotas as a mechanism for the Liberal Party to ensure more women are elected to our parliament. You look at the class of 2019, the class that joined the parliament with me, and 50% of that was female. So we are making real inroads in this area without the need for gender quotas. And I think we should be very careful to not buy into this rhetoric of the left that we need to see women promoted or elected to the parliament purely on the basis of their gender.